So just how significant are these shifts? For more, we are joined by James Lindsay. He's a Senior Vice President and Director of Studies at the Council on Foreign Relations. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Lindsay.
Thank you for having me, Daljeet.
So what about this alternative approach to Afghanistan? What might it be? Who might be pushing it? And what are the chances that the administration would pursue it rather than sending more troops to Afghanistan?
Okay, well, let's begin with what we know, and that is there have been no shifts or decisions made by the president. What the president apparently is doing, according to today's story in the New York Times, is asking some tough questions about whether he wants to get deeper into Afghanistan in terms of committing U.S. troops. There seems to be some division within the administration over whether to send more troops or to either hold steady or decrease the number of troops.
Okay, so what would a more nuanced understanding of his foreign policy be? Give us your thoughts on that.
Well, I think what we're seeing right here is that President Obama realizes he is at a pivotal point in his Afghanistan policy. Back in the spring, the president announced to great fanfare his new strategy for Afghanistan, which emphasized what we call in the business counterinsurgency, sending more troops in to Afghanistan to provide greater security for the Afghan people. Over the intervening 6 months, two important things have happened. Number one, we've had an election in Afghanistan with widespread charges of corruption, raising questions about the reliability of our ally, Mr. Karzai. Second thing is that General McChrystal, who President Obama appointed to the job of being Chief General in Afghanistan, has come back with a report that is very dire in its assessment of the situation. So from what we can tell, the president is considering whether he wants to get in further into Afghanistan.
And McChrystal is going to be sending his troop request by the end of the week, which is earlier than had been anticipated. Why do you think that is?
Well, we're hearing mixed stories as to whether General McChrystal is going to send forward his troop request or whether it's going to be held to the side. There's a fundamental split within the administration. From all press reports, what we're hearing is that Vice President Biden has been arguing since the beginning of the administration that we should not be getting deeper into Afghanistan, that it would be better to put more resources into Pakistan, whereas other elements of the administration, apparently Secretary Clinton, arguing for the policy the president ultimately has decided on. So I think, again, right now, what they're trying to do is figuring out do they want to continue on the road they started going down or not, and you'll know by whether or not the president decides to accept General McChrystal's recommendation for more troops.
All right, well, let's turn to the Middle East for the remainder of the time that we have left. How significant do you think it is that the administration is pressing for peace talks without the Israelis freezing settlements? I mean, did Benjamin Netanyahu essentially outlast the president?
Well, I think what you're seeing is the president's recognition that his effort to get the Israeli prime minister to have a total freeze in Israeli settlements has not worked and is not going to work. And actually, from the president's point of view, has been counterproductive. It has actually made Prime Minister Netanyahu much more popular in Israel and driven President Obama's favorability ratings into the single digits in Israel. And so what the White House now seems to be doing is saying, okay, well, we're going to back out of this dead end. We're not going to get stuck on talking about how to start negotiations. We're going to do what you've said all along you're willing to do. Let's begin talking about actual negotiations.
But isn't it a major policy reversal?
It's not a policy reversal, but it's certainly a change in tactics. I think one thing to keep in mind is that the president has not abandoned his call on the Israelis to freeze all settlement activity. One of the things you discover in politics is that you may make an initiative, it doesn't work, you have a choice. You can sort of stay stuck on the tactics you have, or you can try different ones. And I think that the president's tactics are changing, but his goal, which is to get the peace process moving between the Israelis and the Palestinians and to get something approaching a final settlement, that goal remains intact.
All right, James Lindsay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Daljeet.